So benzoyl peroxide has been going viral for all the wrong reasons, and today I want to talk about it. Well, hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. I'm Monica, and like you already saw, today we're going to be talking about the issue that is benzoyl peroxide, one of the most well-known and well-loved acne-fighting ingredients on the market, and it has been on blast for very valid reasons. I thought it would be kind of interesting to sit down and kind of talk about it together. I'm going to get ready while we do this. And I just am going to kind of tell you my initial thoughts. I have done some research about the issue, so I will be referencing my phone through this video, if you don't mind. But like you saw, I put it in a plastic baggie because I don't want it getting everywhere. Like for that initial clip, I was like, well, will be more aesthetic than a plastic baggie, but it's got peroxide in it, so it will bleach. But as you saw, this is the acne cleanser I held up at the beginning of the video. It has been my favorite benzoyl peroxide cleanser for quite a while now. In fact, so much so I haven't even felt like I needed to do like an updated skincare routine video or anything like that, because nothing has really changed, and this has been such a pivotal part in my acne fighting journey. I've been using benzoyl peroxide since I was a teenager going to my pediatrician. So that kind of gives you an idea of how long I've been using this kind of stuff. But unfortunately, this is the CeraVe 4% benzoyl peroxide foaming cleanser, and this is one of the ones that is recalled for this issue. And if you don't really know what's going on, there was a study done, and I'll link these specific study articles so you can kind of research it yourself or look into it more yourself. Basically, it dove in and discovered that the benzoyl peroxide part of these cleansers can turn into benzene, which makes sense, benzoyl, benzene. It can do that, and obviously benzene is carcinogenic, so that would mean that these products can potentially cause cancer. I would also like to point out real quick that the fact that benzoyl peroxide can decompose into benzene with extended temperatures is not new. It's the fact that the majority of the over-the-counter acne products on the list that I will show you in just a second don't seem to be properly stabilized to prevent benzene, and that's the issue. In fact, this was directly quoted by Homer Swee, and he's a PhD and also the Senior Vice President of Healthy Living Science at the Environmental Working Group. So I just wanted to point that out real quick. It's a mess. It's a mess, and honestly, I'm not quite sure how to feel about it right now, since it is going viral on TikTok and Instagram and probably even YouTube at this point. You're either on one side or the other. So one side is like, I'm never going to use benzoyl peroxide ever again, for obvious reasons. If you think something is going to give you cancer, you're not going to be using it. And the other side is like, well, they only tested this like above 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And so I've seen both sides, and we're just gonna kind of talk about it. There was a dermatology conference over the weekend, and I did find kind of their input thus far. Now, the most recent information I could find from that conference regarding this particular issue was from March 8th, and I'm recording this on March 11th. So 3 days ago, so there obviously could be even more developments by today, and I don't even know it yet because I haven't found anything, or even by the time this video goes up. So we are going to kind of dive into it. I'm gonna get ready. We're gonna talk the tea. I don't know how else to put it. I'm gonna go ahead and curl my eyelashes and get started. I did wait to put mascara on today with you guys, even though it's not really like a testing makeup video or anything. But I don't know, I just felt like diving right in. I should not be talking while I do this. If for some reason you did want to know what products I'm using in this video, I will put them in the description box so you know, but I'm not really going to be talking about them because that's not what it's about. This was officially announced about 5 to 6 days ago in my time, and it's saying that there are high levels of the chemical benzene, which of course has been linked to cancer, and they were detected in numerous consumer acne products, including major brands such as Proactive, Clinique, CeraVe, like I already pointed out, and more. So it kind of just goes into what happened. This is from the Dermatology Times, what I'm specifically referencing right now, but there are several different articles kind of about what happened, but it's basically saying that Valisure tested 66 benzoyl peroxide products, including creams, lotions, gels, and washes. It says that currently the FDA guidelines allow up to 2 parts per million of benzene, and Valisure found acne products that contain up to 12 times the allowed amount. Oh my gosh. Additionally, the parts per million of benzene significantly increased when the acne products were tested at higher temperatures. Like I said, like the 120-degree thing, they were testing them at higher temperatures. Or at least it significantly increased when they were being tested at higher temperatures. The parts per million of benzene significantly increased when the acne products were tested at higher temperatures that were designed to replicate how the products can break down over time. It goes into say some specifics. Valisure found Proactive's 2.5% benzoyl peroxide cream contained 1,761 parts per million of benzene, and then it kind of gives an even more detailed list that includes Target's Up and Up, Estee Lauder's Clinique, Clearsel's 10%, Walgreens 10%, and so on and so forth. So Christopher Bunick, or Bunnick, I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm sorry, but he is a medical doctor. He's got his PhD. He is the associate professor of dermatology and physician scientist at Yale University School of Medicine, and he told Dermatology Times, which I am specifically reading from right now, that dermatologists are waking up this morning to shocking news that the widely used over-the-counter and prescription medicine benzoyl peroxide decomposes into the well-known carcinogen benzene. Benzene contamination has plagued numerous skincare products recently, but this time it is different. I also wanted to make a note that he specifically mentions that this is not contamination. In fact, this time it is the fact that benzoyl peroxide breaks down into benzene that is the problem. It is stimulated to do so by the formulation of the products themselves. So basically he is saying the formula is the problem here, and it is concerning that nearly all benzoyl peroxide containing products tested formed benzene, even the new triple combination topical, and it often is at levels of 2 to 1,000% higher than the emergency conditional FDA limit of 2 ppm. And he said, to make matters worse, benzoyl peroxide breakdown into benzene was accelerated by exposure to elevated temperatures, like I've already mentioned quite a few times, and it is equivalent to a hot bathroom or car, meaning that patients and consumers must be mindful of how to store their benzoyl peroxide containing products, so don't store it in a car. And what's even more concerning is that as benzoyl peroxide breaks down into benzene, the gaseous form of benzene was found to penetrate through sealed packaging at levels of nearly 1,000 times higher than an EPA lifetime exposure limit, for the increased risk of 1 cancer per 100,000 people. Thus, benzoyl peroxide containing acne products unsuspectedly are also an inhalation risk. It's a little alarming, it really is. My thing is, it makes sense, obviously, that benzoyl peroxide could lead to benzene, given even just like the name, like they sound very similar. Benzoyl, benzene. And I know several of these kind of studies are done, I guess, like, honestly, probably under the radar. And they have been for quite some time. Like, I mean, if we look back to the testing with, like, aluminum in deodorants or carcinogens, benzene specifically in dry shampoo. You know, these kind of studies seem to be done quite often. And it's getting alarming that it seems like these sort of studies are rapidly increasing. Like, if this is the case, you know, is there some way that we can just completely remove the risk of benzene altogether? Does that mean that formulas need to be changed? Does that mean that, you know, how these formulas are distributed need to be changed? Because I know, like, with the dry shampoo incident, a lot of people were saying, and from what I learned in my private research based on that study, that, like, it's aerosol products, it's the aerosol. And I'm like, okay, well, if it's the aerosol in dry shampoo, is it also the aerosol in a hairspray or a texture spray? Because if so, like, I use that. I know a lot of people probably do. I don't think any of us really want to put any sort of cancer or potentially cancer-causing ingredients or products near our faces, our bodies. I mean, this is alarming. It's become increasing. I know that colon cancer there's a rise in colon cancer in young adults. Like, what is leading to that? Is it this sort of stuff? Is it the stuff in our food? I don't know. I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's a little alarming, actually, in fact, very alarming, that these kind of studies, especially surrounding benzene, have increased so much, and now they're kind of teetering into acne medicine, which somebody like me who is acne prone relies on. I rely on benzoyl peroxide. I haven't had a ton of luck with salicylic acid in face wash, but you know what? I'm going to be looking for salicylic acid face wash. Hopefully salicylic acid products are safe, you know? I don't know. I feel like nothing is safe anymore. I'm going on a tangent, but it's just, it's alarming. And I don't quite know how to digest this information, especially because we are so early on in this like research process. Obviously the study was done, but like we have not heard from multiple dermatologists and doctors. Like any information or any input that I've found from dermatologists specifically on TikTok is either they don't know or they're picking one side or the other. Oh, it's totally safe, don't worry about it, or oh, it's totally not safe, get rid of everything. What are we doing to prevent cancer? Aren't we supposed to be moving forward in times? I just feel like we're going backwards in ways. You know, we need to be figuring out and I understand, like, medicine is ever changing, it's ever evolving. I'm just kind of saying, as medicine gets more advanced, how is it that I feel like in some ways we're going backwards? And a lot of this stuff is related to skincare or things that go like on your body. I have heavily depended on benzoyl peroxide face wash to treat and prevent acne. I have raved about this product. I've raved about it for a very long time, and so the fact that it's just like boom, could potentially cause cancer, like that's scary, because I have been exposing myself to it for a while, and you know, it wasn't that, oh, I just exposed myself to it occasionally. No, it was like multiple times a week. And you know, they even say on the instructions of this kind of stuff, oh, you could use it twice daily. You could use it daily. And I don't, because it's drying. But, you know, that's just exposing it to it. And, you know, you could potentially be just sitting here over and over and over, you know, exposing yourself to it. Now, I'm not a doctor, so if you're like, wow, you sound stupid. I'm not trying to sound stupid. I'm just like, I'm talking like somebody who's concerned and scared. And, you know, when this study first came out, I feel like I was like, well, I don't want to do anything rash and stop using this until there's more on the table. But then I was like, I'm going to stop using it because I don't want to risk it. You know, I don't want my stubbornness of like, oh, well, it works for my skin. Like, you know, there's nothing saying that I'll get cancer. I didn't want to be like not smart about it. I wanted to be like, you know what, it's better to live without something and not get cancer, hopefully, even though I've exposed myself for it for years, than it is to be like, well, it works right now and there's nothing saying that it will, it just can or whatever. So I'm just gonna keep using it. So I have stopped it. That's like, it's got like halfway left, and I'm not gonna be using it. I'm gonna start searching for a salicylic acid cleanser in place of it, as long as that is deemed safe. So if you have any salicylic acid cleansers that really work on acne, please let me know, because the CeraVe one does not. It does not work, which is funny because the CeraVe benzoyl peroxide has worked for years, but the salicylic acid one actually kind of burns me, so I need something a little bit more gentle than that. Just a little side note there. So now I want to talk about what the American Academy of Dermatology said as of March 8th. They did have a big conference. I did find that out because this one dermatologist, I don't remember his name, but in all of the videos kind of talking about this issue, he was commenting like, there's going to be a huge dermatology conference this weekend. We're going to find out some more information there. So that's how I found out there was even a conference. They haven't really said a whole lot, but this is their response to the benzene petition on benzoyl peroxide products. It says, as of March 8th, the American Academy of Dermatology Association is aware of a petition that was recently filed with the FDA prescribing formation of benzene in products containing benzoyl peroxide that are exposed to elevated temperatures, hence the 120 degrees that I was kind of mentioning earlier. Once again. The American Academy of Dermatology Association and its members are committed to the health and safety of the public and is reviewing the petition and awaiting more information from the FDA to determine next steps. If you are concerned about using acne products containing benzoyl peroxide, opt for other options such as topical retinoids, salicylic acid, or azelaic acid. I don't know how to pronounce that, but I do know what it is. Or speak to a board-certified dermatologist. This was specifically said by the president of the American Academy of Dermatology Association, Terrence A. Cronin Jr. So, that's kind of what I'm going to do. I'm halting usage of my benzoyl peroxide cleanser. I'm going to try salicylic acid first. And there is, you know, some products that I've looked at with azelaic acid. Once again, I'm sorry if I don't know how to pronounce that. But anyway, to kind of see if maybe that works, I've heard that that's a pretty good ingredient. Retinoids, those aren't something that I would opt in for benzoyl peroxide because that is something that I'd apply topically, and I use benzoyl peroxide specifically in my cleanser on my face. So it's not something that I'm using like in a cream or gel or lotion form. I'm also going to be speaking to my personal dermatologist and just seeing her input on it, kind of seeing what she said. I don't have an appointment coming up soon, like within the next like 2 to 3 weeks, but I do have an appointment coming up next month, so maybe I can find out some more information then and kind of see what she's thinking, because this is a very interesting situation. It's a very strong claim, and you know, it's concerning, and I don't want us to subject ourselves to potentially getting cancer over something that we've been told to use since we were like 13 due to getting breakouts going into puberty or just being a typical hormonal teenager, you know? And I'm not somebody where the acne like stopped when I became an adult, you know? That wasn't something that I was blessed with. I was somebody that, I mean, I still suffer with it. I get breakouts, not as much as I used to, but yeah, I still deal with it. I have very sensitive skin, and I've had to test so many different products to see what will effectively fight my acne while also not completely drying out my skin or breaking it out more by drying it out, because that can happen. So yeah, I mean, like I said, they didn't have a whole lot to say, probably because this is a shock to them. Like, how on earth do you sit there and backpedal on an ingredient that you have been telling your patients to use for years because it's been cleared and deemed as being safe? So, yeah, and the thing is like, if you're like, okay, well, if it's only at elevated temperatures, because this was my initial thought, if it's only at elevated temperatures, then what's the problem here? Now, the Dermatology Times, which I referenced earlier in the video, specifically said that it got worse at elevated temperatures, but I did read in the article that they were like testing it at 122 degrees. Not the article. I did read in the study that they were testing it at like 122 degrees. So if you're kind of like me and you're like, well, if it's only, you know, a problem at such an elevated temperature and I'm never going to store it at that temperature, because on many of the packages it does say like store it at 79 degrees or whatever. I don't know. That was just something I made up. But, you know, then if it's just a problem at an elevated temperature, I'm just not going to let it get to that temperature. And at first that's what I was like, well, if that's the only problem, which they're not, you know, that's kind of what's being alluded as the only problem, or like the main problem, you know, I was kind of like, well, I just won't store it at that. I won't get it to that temperature. But I started realizing we're approaching summer. We're starting to see spring temperatures, at least where I live, and where I live, spring temperatures mean in the 80s. And on a truck, if something is being delivered to you or something is like taken on a truck to a store where you buy your benzoyl peroxide cleanser or gel, whatever, it may very well be subjected to those elevated temperatures. And in that case, there's really no going back, at least from what I've seen. You can't really take the temperature back. It's already been exposed to that, which means, therefore, it's probably dangerous. And though there aren't any guarantees that this will cause cancer, if it's kind of transforming or turning into benzene, there is a very high possibility that it could. Or too high of a possibility, which is a possibility at all. If there's a possibility at all, that is too high of a risk to take, because none of us should have to sacrifice like our health for good skin, and none of us should have to sacrifice good skin for our like inside health. You know what I'm saying? Like, it should be one of those things where they kind of go hand in hand, and you're kind of taking care of yourself as a whole and not having to sacrifice any part of your health, whether it's on your face, like with your skin, or inside. You shouldn't have to sacrifice one for the other. And so, yeah, that's kind of what really convinced me when I started thinking about it more. I was like, well, if this has been if it had ever hit 120 degrees or over, or whatever the elevated temperature is, I've seen 120 and 122. That's kind of why I'm referencing those specific temperatures. But if it's already hit that temperature on the truck to get to where it's going, whether it's like being delivered directly to you, or I have a piece of mascara in my eye, okay, or if it's going to the store that you buy it at, it's already being subjected to that temperature, which means it's dangerous. And that is too much of a risk. We don't want to like have to sacrifice one thing for the other. They should kind of just go hand in hand. And we are having to sacrifice it now because so many of us are stopping because you want to stop so you don't subject yourself to something that could be potentially fatal or at least life-threatening. None of it is good. None of these options are good. I've seen so many people be disappointed. Like, I've read so many comments like, this is the only thing that works for me, and I fully am there. Like, I am one of those people. This is one of the only things that I have found in a cleanser form that has worked for me to help and prevent acne. And acne is painful, and I hate it. And I'm 27 years old, so that means I've been dealing with acne for at least half my life now, and now I'm gonna have to worry about like it coming back or maybe potentially getting worse because I'm having to take out the main sort of ingredient that has helped it. I wish it wasn't to that level. I wish it was like, oh, you know, we did the study and this is not a problem, you know. Benzene does not form with this, but seems as though it does, and it does in a lot of popular products. I hope that we get to a point where this kind of testing is done before launching like products with these sort of ingredients in it that could potentially turn into benzene. I'm hoping that we'll get to a point, or at least maybe this has helped us get to that point of being like, hey, you know, we've done quite a few studies on skincare products and benzene's becoming an issue. Perhaps we should test for this stuff prior to launching any products in it. You know, we should be testing this stuff prior to these kind of studies where it's like, halt all your usage, there's a recall. And now this sort of stuff is trickling into skincare products, medicine, deodorant. You know, I know the deodorant, I said deodorant weird there, by the way. Don't know if you got that. But I know that deodorant, that kind of was like, they said, I think the conclusion was pretty much like, if you have to use so much of the deodorant for it to affect you at all, which like at a time. So like the amount of aluminum you'd have to like put, I mean, I'm saying deodorant, but it's technically specifically antiperspirant. If you're putting deodorant with antiperspirant in that has the aluminum, and you'd have to use so much of that for it to like cause issues. I believe that was like the final verdict. But do you remember how long that study lasted? I felt like it lasted years. And then last year, the year before, I think it was 2022, with the whole dry shampoo thing. That, you know, like I was raving about a dry shampoo that I loved, and it was like Maria Nilla was the brand, and I loved it. And then I started reading about it, and it was like an aerosol can, so I stopped using it. Now I use a foam dry shampoo, and I love it. And now we're kind of transitioning into straight powder, like where it like you spritz it, like those bottles are like little bitty, and you spritz it and it sprays out powder. If we're having to eliminate how something is packaged, but the ingredient is safe, that's good. But in this case, it's the ingredient that is the problem. We're getting to where like the skincare that we're using, is it safe? Is retinol safe now? Like that's what I started doing when I heard about this. I'm like, oh my gosh, is retinol safe? Is salicylic acid safe? Is hyaluronic acid safe? Is what else? You know, any sort of I mean, I know like peptides are considered safe and preferred, but like you know, I started questioning every other thing that I own, because I'm like, well, if they're just finding this now, what are they gonna find in 5 years? What are they gonna find in a year? What are they gonna find in 10 years? Anyway, I feel like I've kind of rambled on, but that was almost like the format of this video, was that I just wanted to have a conversation, voicing the issue at hand, what we've learned about it so far, or at least what I've learned about it so far, and kind of like my opinion, my initial thoughts on the issue, and where my mind went after this kind of exploded. Because I feel like if my mind went to what other products do we need to worry about, what other ingredients do we need to worry about, surely other people's also went there. Surely I'm not the only person who started worrying about everything else I put on my skin. And even though I'm going to switch to salicylic acid cleanser, I'm going to try to, and I'm going to maybe try out azelaic acid, I'm still nervous. Like I'm still wondering if I'm going to run into issues, or if this is going to be like something where it's like, I found this, and then like a year from now they're like, you know, starting to recall salicylic acid products. Anyway, so that is really it for this video. I feel like I rambled, but I really wanted this video to almost be us like processing it together, and me like saying what I thought of it initially. I did get some fully formed thoughts based on what we know so far, at least as of the 11th, March 11th, because there could obviously be developments before this video goes up within just the next few days. So I just kind of wanted to process how I thought and viewed this issue, and kind of how I initially reacted to it, and how I'm thinking about it now that we've kind of known about it for 4 to 5 days. And so it's very interesting. I think it's really important that we talk about these sort of things, because cancer is very, very serious, and the fact that there has been such an influx of products that have been recalled or researched or tested to see if like their benzene content, how much they even contain, is dangerous. That's a little alarming. Like, we need to constantly be on the lookout for what we are putting on our faces, in our bodies, in our hair, like whatever, because sadly, we're at the point where we have to think like this. We have to think very proactively. We have to think defensively. We have to constantly almost wonder, is this good, or is it going to hurt me in 10 years? Like, I feel like we're in kind of one of those ongoing commercials, like this is how our lives are playing out as like in our generation, like millennial and younger. I feel like we're all kind of experiencing, you know, things constantly being recalled. It reminds me of those commercials, or those, I mean, you know, those ads that are like, did you in the past 5 to 10 years use da-da-da? If so, we could probably get you like $1 million settlement, or whatever. You know, I feel like we're kind of in that moment where it's like everything is a question mark. I'm scared. I think it's kind of scary. I mean, it's not kind of scary. It is scary. Like, it's scary that we're having to worry about this. And so I just kind of wanted to talk about it with you guys. I kind of wanted to process this issue with you guys, and I know I'm gonna halt my usage. I would encourage you to do the same. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. Obviously, I'm nobody to probably any of you in terms of like my opinion of like what I think you should do. It shouldn't matter. What you think you should do should matter, and I think it's important to reach out to medical professionals, dermatologists, even MDs, general practitioner if you have one of those, and just kind of see their input, see their thoughts, find out their input, and just see what we're dealing with here, maybe what we can do to stop it or decrease this issue, because there is a rise in colon cancer and probably other kind of cancers in younger people, and so we definitely need to constantly be aware of what we are putting in or on our bodies, and it's very, very important to talk about. So I hope you don't mind if I kind of put my 2 cents into it. I don't know where this is going to go from here. Regarding this issue, I'm very interested to see what the American Association of Dermatology is going to say going forward. You know, we'll kind of get live updates, I'm sure, about that. TikTok will update you probably daily, if not minutely or secondly. They're just going to be continually updating you based on what they find out, whether it's like a general user like me or dermatologist, medical doctor, so on and so forth. So I think it's good that we all stay aware and we all be proactive and defensive, and just try to keep ourselves safe and healthy, and be very, very aware of what we are using on ourselves. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, found it interesting. Definitely, if you want to kind of leave your input, I encourage comments. I'd like to hear your input on this situation. Like I said, a lot of this is hearsay right now. Like, there's obviously a study that was done that's not hearsay, but what I said in this was a lot of hearsay and kind of just my own thoughts. So take that with a grain of salt. I mean, I think it's really important to be talking about cancer, but I'm not at all a medical professional. This is just a general user's opinion of the situation and kind of my initial thoughts. So, you know, obviously none of this is like peer-reviewed information that I have spit out today, but really just solely is how I'm feeling about the situation, except for what I specifically referenced or quoted. That is stuff that I didn't make that up. I'm just referencing it. But everything else that I said for my own feelings, of course, is they're just my thoughts and opinions. Take them with a grain of salt, but I do think that we all need to be very, very careful and very aware of what we're putting on our bodies and what ingredients are being used in what we use. So yeah, anyway, that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, maybe found it helpful. If not, at least a little interesting. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up and hit that notification bell down below, and also subscribe to my channel if you have not already. I'd love to have you stick around long term. Also check out the rest of my channel if you haven't yet. I've done some spring videos. This was not really a planned video. It kind of just came up, but yeah, I do have some spring content. If you want something a little lighter, definitely go check that out. I think I'll be having some more vlogs coming up, maybe some decluttering content coming up soon, so definitely keep an eye out for that. But anyway, I'm gonna stop babbling and let you guys go, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!